Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? It's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC Podcast, and welcome to another Monday Night Raw recap. Let's just jump straight into it. So Monday Night Raw kicked off this week with Cody Rhodes. Now we were in Atlanta, Georgia this week, which is Cody Rhodes' hometown. So it was quite nice to see Cody back in his hometown. He got a really good response from the crowd and a lot of welcome home chants from the crowd as well too. Cody looked quite taken aback by all the chanting from the fans, the excitement of everybody for him coming home. He did look quite emotional before he decided to cut a promo. So he decided to cut a promo and he was talking about Brock Lesnar. Basically talking about how no matter where Brock goes, he's almost like a large shadow looming over any arena, anywhere where he is. He said he's tried to call out Brock Lesnar before, but nothing's happened, and he tries to call out Brock Lesnar to the ring and is like, hey, let's deal with this once and for all. There's no response from Brock Lesnar. And Cody goes ahead and he says, I haven't seen him, he may be fashionably late, and he said, I'll be waiting for you in this ring, no matter what time of day it is, whether it's now, 9 o'clock, 2 a.m, I'll be waiting for you whenever. Then he goes on to say that the woman that built me is in the front row today, so obviously referencing his mum. We get a nice wee shot of Mrs. Rhodes, I think her name is Michelle. We get a nice wee shot of her. She looks quite emotional. We cut back to Cody. Cody looks quite emotional. And he basically starts to say that the relationship between him and Brock Lesnar is complex, and there are two words to sum up the relationship that they have, which are hard times. And he said, but that's okay, because when you show up, Brock, it'll be hard times for you, not for me. And then gets out of the ring and embraces his mum, gives her a big hug, and some other family of Cody Rhodes is there too, so they get a big hug. Brock Lesnar's music hits. Crowd goes nuts, obviously thinking they're going to see Brock Lesnar. Then nothing happens, no one comes out. Cody walks back up towards the entrance ramp. He's kind of looking prepared no matter what area of the arena Brock is going to come out of. So as he's walking back up, the music hits again, and Cody's ready, he's getting prepared, he's ready for anything. Nothing happens, and then Cody's like, I'm going to go look around the corner. So Cody goes to look around the corner, and then we see a chair flying from the other side. So the entrance ramp's here, Cody goes this way, and we see a chair just go flying, and then we see Cody get thrown out from behind the gorilla position. So Brock comes out and hits Cody with a chair and then ends up getting into a brawl. They make their way back down to the ring. Cody got thrown into the corner of the ring as well too, and then he ended up getting F5'd in front of his mum as well, which that would have been painful on the ground, no less than in front of your mum as well too. He ends up putting Cody into a Kimura lock and then puts him back in the ring and puts Cody Rhodes into a Kimura lock again and says, challenge accepted, and then he says, I will see you at SummerSlam, and then puts the B word in. I'm not going to say it because I don't want us to, get in trouble on YouTube. I know they can be pretty strict with swearing at times, but so it looks like this match is going to be made official for SummerSlam, which I'm excited for. I'm really hoping that if this is the match we're going to see from them at SummerSlam, which was the rubber match that I mentioned last week, I'm really hoping this is the last time that they go up against each other, and then Cody can move on to something else. Then we had the match between Matt Riddle and Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci were barred from ringside, but that didn't stop them from coming out during Gunther's entrance. This match was on the shorter side. It looked really good though. Riddle did get a lot of offense in, which was quite good, and there was a massive chop from Gunther in the match. Oh, it was so loud. I grabbed my chest because I could feel the pain through the screen. I was like, oh, Riddle, it's not looking good for you, mate. The combination of moves at the end was quite good. There was a flying bro from Riddle off the top rope. Gunther got his knees up and then ended up hitting Riddle with a drop kick and a powerbomb, and Gunther won the match, which was quite good. Gunther then made his way up onto the commentator's table, and he says that you can boo me all you want, and I know you've come to spend your hard-earned money to come and see the greatest IC champion of all time. And he said that Riddle is done. I'm building a legacy. Drew, you will fall victim to me next. And I was like, ooh, can't wait to see that. Then we had an interview segment backstage with Jackie Redmond and Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Now this was before their match that they were having for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships against Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. Jackie says, hey, you've got a huge match ahead of you. What's the deciding factor towards this match? Liv Morgan answers and says there's no one deciding factor. She says, Chelsea and Sonya, they love to complain about the rules, but I find it super ironic that they can't follow their own rules or follow the rules that are set in place. And she says that you don't become champs without being ready. Raquel says, the harder the battle is, the sweeter the victory will be, and we're not backing down from anybody. We're not backing down from Chelsea and Sonya. We're not backing down from Trish and Zoe. Tree tries to go ahead and say we're not backing down from Kaden and Katana, but before she gets to say Katana, Rhea comes in and says, not even me, and she gets this massive ovation. And then Rhea goes ahead and says to Jackie, who's the interviewer, she asks her to leave, so she leaves. And then says Raquel says, not even you. And Liv Morgan says, well, how many times do we have to try and tell you? And then Rhea just decides to fully headbutt Liv Morgan in the jaw. And then ends up getting to a backstage brawl with Raquel Rodriguez and kicks her knee. Now, this plays a big part in what comes later on in the show. So Rhea Ripley ends up injuring both the girls. Does this mean that we're going to be seeing some issues between the team of Liv and Raquel towards the match tonight? Then we had a video package of Viking Raiders. Now they were backstage in this dark room kind of praying to the Viking gods before their match against the Alpha Academy. Now Valhalla was actually praying with the Letterman jacket that she stole from the graduation ceremony last week. Then we had the Judgment Day coming out. They all came out together as a united front. Rhea starts off by saying that the Judgment Day is stronger than ever. You guys thought we were going to break up. Anybody with half a brain cell would know that we are stronger and we're better than ever. And she says that, Judgment Day dominates Raw. And then she said that, Raquel Rodriguez found that out just then. And she says that she's the most dominant woman here in WWE. And she says that, at some stage, Finn and Damien will both become world champions and Dom will become the NXT North American champ. And then Dom tries to speak, and it's the same stuff every time where if Dom tries to speak, then people go ahead and start booing him. And then he goes ahead and he says that Damien says that all the boos won't change the fact that Dominic will become the North American champion on NXT tomorrow. Finn says, I'll be listening later on to Seth Rollins' interview because Seth Rollins is going to have an interview. Damian Priest did make it clear in this conversation that Finn does have the first crack at Seth Rollins. Finn goes ahead and says that our issues will not be solved until my arm is raised and I become the World Heavyweight Champion. The segment gets interrupted with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now, Sami goes ahead and says, hold on, 1 second. I've got a pretty good relationship with WWE and I just want to ask you guys one question. Did you pay your hard-earned money to try and listen to Dom speaking, or did you pay your hard-earned money to see someone shut him up? Because we're going to do that tonight. And he says, it's going to be me and Kevin versus Damien and Dom. And the crowd goes nuts. And then Damien says, we've been focused on our individual championships. I think bringing the tag team championships to the Judgment Day would be a good look. You should put them on the line tonight. And then Sami says, I'm not really too sure I want to make that decision on my own. Why don't I pass this off to Kevin? Kevin's been kind of quiet. I feel like he's got a lot to say. Kevin's like, do you want me to speak? And Sami's like, yeah. Say whatever's on your chest. Say whatever you feel. And Kevin, being very agitated these days, has a lot to say. He yelled quite a bit, but he was basically saying he's happy to put the tag titles on the line tonight. So it's going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest later on for the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships. I was really looking forward to this. I think it was going to be great. Then we have a video segment quickly with Adam Pearce and one of the medical staff backstage checking up on Raquel's injury. And, the medical staff basically says, hey, I think you shouldn't wrestle tonight. I think you need to get some scans done. And Raquel was like, no, I'm going to wrestle. I'm going to do it. I'm going to push through. And you can tell she's quite uncomfortable. So they basically said that she's technically cleared, but Raquel just wants to go ahead and wrestle the match, which is up next. So we had the match between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez going up against Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. Now, this match was on the shorter side. It did get referenced and shown quite a lot that Raquel and Liv were both dealing with some form of injury after the beatdown by Rhea Ripley earlier in the night. This did play a massive factor because while Raquel was still using a lot of power moves, she did limp in the ring and she was looking like she was struggling, obviously selling the move and selling the backstage brawl. Whether or not she's actually injured is another story, but that's a story for another day. Chelsea and Sonya were looking really good in this match. They were looking very strong. They also had a lot of synchronicity when it came to a lot of their moves, and also a lot of the combinations they made were really good. And we did end up seeing new tag team champions today. So Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville are now the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Now, I have spoken in the past about how I don't like the titles being hot potatoed between a bunch of different wrestlers. I can see why they have done this for Liv and Raquel. It's a way to take the titles off them, have them go and do some individual things. So now it looks like Raquel's going to go after Rhea, and Liv can go off and help out Raquel with Rhea. But I'm really excited for Chelsea and Sonya. I think, obviously they have established themselves as a tag team and they were kind of thrown together at first. But to be honest, I'm really looking forward to the work they're going to be putting in. I'm so happy that after all this time, Sonya Deville is finally getting championship gold. She's been working for it for so long in so many different tag teams. And I'm really excited for Chelsea too. I think this is going to be a really good way for her to show a lot more of her character, a lot more of her wrestling, because when she gets the opportunity, she's actually really good in the ring, and I'm so excited to see. Then we got to see that, Raquel was limping outside of the ring as well too, so obviously selling the brawl from earlier. Then we end up seeing that Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar has been made official for SummerSlam. Now, we don't know if this is for the stipulated match, we just know that they will be going up against each other. Then we end up seeing that Byron is quickly talking backstage with Sonya and Chelsea after their win, and they're basically saying, so many people, Chelsea said she's got so many people to thank for this, and Sonya's basically saying that she thinks it's a fake injury, so I guess we just have to wait and see if the injury plays into anything in the future. Then we had a video recap of Friday Night SmackDown. Now, obviously, we're getting these every week on Monday Night Raw to remind people of what's been happening with the Bloodline if they have not had a chance to catch up on SmackDown. Then we had a interview segment with Seth Rollins and Byron Saxton. And, Seth Rollins is asked, what are your plans for the World Heavyweight Championship? Seth goes ahead and he says, I've got really big plans for the World Heavyweight Championship. SummerSlam's coming up, and I do think that the World Heavyweight Championship does deserve a marquee spot on the card. Finn Balor has earned his place on my list. My list is kind of as follows. You've got Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Gunther. The fact that Seth has Gunther on his list has me so excited. I don't know why I whispered just then, but it just was like, I don't want to yell into my microphone. Then we see Finn come and interrupt the interview segment. Byron kind of goes away. Then Finn's like, I want my rematch. There's no other contenders, and the line starts with me. It's, our issues are far from over. And Seth, he says, I get where you're coming from, but you really need to stop living in the past. And Finn says, I'm not living in the past. I'm living in chaos. I'm going to do to you what you did to me. I'm going to take your career and I'm going to alter it forever. And Seth says, well, you know what? The World Heavyweight Championship is about more than what you think it is. It's worth more than your personal vendetta. If you want to settle a score, let's not have a match. Let's do this right here, right now. You can take your shot at me or get out of my face. And so then Finn stands up and kind of throws his chair away. He's really grumpy, starts to walk away. And then, Seth Rollins is like, I'm really sorry about that, guys. Are we done? Tries to take off the microphone. And then Finn throws a chair at Seth and starts attacking him backstage in the interview again. And screams at him, make the match official. Make it happen. Then we see the Viking Raiders going up against Alpha Academy. Now, this is a 6-man tag match, and it is Viking rules style. So, pretty much it's like a no disqualification match. Just anything kind of goes. It was quite cool because Titus O'Neil was actually on commentary as well. He added quite a bit into this match. I didn't write down very much of what he had because there was a lot going on. But there was a comment that was made about Valhalla, basically worshipping a lot of gods, and You have to go back and see it, but Titus was basically like, I really hope that she also worships Jesus Christ as well. So it's like, what? This match was really good. It's quite similar to the matches that we've seen in the past as well. Viking Raiders did end up coming away with the win. Then we had a recap of the no disqualification match from last week between The Miz and Tommaso Ciampa, and obviously showing Bronson Reed's interference. Then we had a really quick match, and by really quick, I mean it was like 10 seconds, between Shayna Baszler and Nikki Cross. Now, I'm really sorry because I don't want to sound awful by saying this, but I just don't understand Nikki Cross. Like, when she was teaming with Alexa, I got that. I understand that. I don't understand what's going on with her now. Like, I don't know. I feel really cringe when I see her on TV, and she's a great wrestler, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know. There's no connection there with me and her. I just don't get it. Anyway, so this was a quick match. Basically, Nikki got caught in the Karafuda clutch, and she taps out. Then Shayna's celebrating her win, and Ronda Rousey goes ahead and says, she starts cutting a promo. She goes ahead and says the crowd goes mild, and then we end up seeing that she's sitting in a box above the crowd. And she starts talking to Shayna, and she says, what's easier? You want to tell me this. Going through the front door where you can have a steady progression through the indies, going into NXT, where the greatest minds of this industry will cultivate your talent and get you ready for the big stage, or going through the back door in the historic judo medal that I won. Having an earth-shattering MMA career, and then being thrown to the wolves in WWE with no experience or training to emerge a future Hall of Famer in a year. And she said that she wasn't given any opportunity. She took it, and she said that she's eclipsed Shayna, and she said that she's better than Shayna will ever be. And she says that she's the greatest combat sport athlete of all time, and she's a knockoff version of Ronda Rousey. Shayna then goes ahead and responds and says, it's easy to talk all that talk when you're all the way up there, huh? When it comes to me being in this ring and us doing what we do in this ring, I'm a much better Ronda Rousey than you. And I was like, you weren't lying. You got her there. And then Shayna says, well, why don't you waltz your happy ass down here? And then Ronda says, no, unless you want to make me. And then Shayna gets out of the ring and starts trying to make a go for Ronda. Gets halfway up the stairs and then gets stopped by security. And then Ronda Rousey says, you want to do me a favor? I'll help you get booked on SummerSlam. I'll see you in Motor City, and then puts a B word in. So it somewhat looks like this match is going to happen at SummerSlam. It hasn't been confirmed yet. I'll only talk about if it's confirmed from WWE when I hear. But so far it looks like it's going to happen at SummerSlam this year. We had a video recap segment from the Logan Paul and Ricochet encounter from last week, which then led into a backstage video interview with Jackie Redmond and Ricochet. And so Jackie's basically asking, like, hey, what's going on with you and Logan? And, Ricochet goes ahead and says, like, Logan doesn't get it. I'm not a joke. And says that, the WWE Universe and the crowd in Atlanta today are not here because we post on Instagram. They're here for WWE. And in this world, the crowd actually thinks that Logan is a joke. And says, Logan, meet me next week on Monday Night Raw. Then we have The Miz TV with Becky Lynch as the guest on the show. Now, The Miz makes it known at the very beginning that apparently Becky has been on a downward spiral as of late. And The Miz is obviously gloating about his win against Tommaso Ciampa last week and is riding on a high. Then Becky Lynch comes out. I wrote down, Becky Lynch is looking stunning as always. That custom Adidas suit she was wearing, chef's kiss. Anyway, so The Miz asks her, like, you've lost to Trish, you've lost to Zoe, and you've lost at Money in the Bank. Has the man lost a step? And I actually can't remember if that was said at the beginning before she came out or while she was there, but it was said nonetheless. Becky throws the chairs out of the ring, and she starts getting really fired up. And she says, I've lost titles in the last year, I've lost friends in the last year, I may have lost my mind, but I haven't lost a step. Bring in Trish and Zoe before you start to lose your tiny balls, She basically says, I know how the Miz TV works, just bring out the guests already. And then the Miz introduces Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark. And they come out, and Becky's like, give me my rematch. Give me my rematch. And Trish says, settle down, you're acting like a bratty toddler. I almost thought that Rue was in the ring. For those who don't know, Rue is Becky's daughter. Becky says, keep her name out of your mouth. Trish says, I fought you and I won. I'm not going to fight you again because I'll just beat you. Zoe beat you as well. And we're done with you. We're moving on. And you need to say thank you, Trish. And Becky says, this whole thing here, you feel so much higher and so much more above everyone else, you absolute psychopath. You hit me when I'm down, but you couldn't handle me at my strongest because you're not better than me. If you say that you are as good as me, or better, prove that you're as good, as you say you are. And Trish says, because Becky's kind of egging on Trish and is like, well, if you say that you are as great as you are, why don't you just fight me? Because you're clearly not as good as what you say you are. You've got a henchman here who's doing half the stuff for you. And Trish says, I will fight you, but on a couple of conditions. Firstly, you need to go through Zoe first. And when Zoe beats you, you need to get down on your knees and say thank you, Trish. And you need to tattoo thank you, Trish, across your chest. And Becky's agreeing with everything. She's like, okay, cool. All right, we'll do that then. And then Zoe and Trish end up quickly attacking Becky, but then Becky prevails and starts to beat off both of them. Becky does take off Trish's nose shield, which is quite funny, and punches Trish, and then Trish rolls out of the ring, puts the nose shield on, and then and she just headbutts Zoe Stark. So I thought this was a really funny segment. I really loved it. Then we had a match between Bronson Reed and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, I've got a problem with WWE because they've started calling Dominic Mysterio Dirty Dom. Okay, that makes sense. Why have they started just casually calling Bronson Reed Big Bronson Reed? The amount of times on commentary they were calling Bronson Reed Big Bronson Reed, I don't know how I feel about the big part being at the beginning of his name. I get it. I get that he's a bigger person, I get that, but I just don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, so the match is going really well. Bronson's looking really good in this match, and so is Shinsuke, but what ends up happening towards the end of the match is a bit confusing, and we end up seeing Tommaso Ciampa come in and attack Bronson Reed. The bell gets rung, and as a result of a disqualification, Bronson Reed ends up winning the match, which Tommaso Ciampa's gone ahead and screwed himself over because, Bronson just won the match, even though he just attacked him. And then Ciampa and Shinsuke start getting into a bit of an argument because Shinsuke is quite upset that, Ciampa came in and ruined the match. And Shinsuke ends up kicking Tommaso Ciampa. That was very interesting to see. Then we go backstage quickly and, Byron's asking Shinsuke about how he felt after the match. And Shinsuke was just I'm so tired of people getting in my business. Stop getting involved. And he kind of snaps at Byron. Then we had the main event, which was Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens going up against Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio. Now, this match, it was very similar to kind of matches we've seen in the past, and that's not a knock on them. They've just got really good ring chemistry. But before the match starts, we see that Rhea and Finn are both outside of the ring. Seth Rollins comes in and starts attacking on Finn Balor, obviously going back to the interview segment from earlier, and it's a great way to get Finn away from the match so that it can just be Damian and Dom, and obviously Rhea ringside. The match is going really good. Kevin Owens, when he gets into that second gear in that match, he goes absolutely nuts. He hits a different level of energy that I didn't know that he had. If you've seen the match, you'll know what I mean, but if you go back and watch it, you'll truly see that when he starts getting into that second gear, he just goes absolutely crazy. It was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn that did end up coming away with the win. Now, towards the end of the match, Liv Morgan does end up interfering and getting her revenge on Rhea from earlier. Now, I'm starting to think that this feud between the two of them may continue. And then we end up seeing, obviously, like I said, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn coming away with the win. And before the end of the show, it's confirmed that we will be seeing Seth Rollins going up against Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. So that will be fun. That'll be exciting. I can't wait. Anyway, that is my Raw recap for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show if you have seen it. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel because that helps us out a lot, pushes us out into the algorithm so more people can see the content that we're putting out. Please make sure that you also follow all our personal social medias. They will be linked down below, so our Instagrams and our TikTok. We also now have a Twitter page as well too, so I'll make sure to link that. And we are working on a Facebook page. I will make sure to link that in the future when that's all set up and ready to go. But yeah, so I hope you guys really enjoyed the recap. Make sure that you check in tomorrow because there will be a NXT review from Reese, and we'll obviously have a podcast this week, and we will have a SmackDown review. Now, I believe the podcast that we're doing is like pop culture tier lists. Make sure that you check in onto the Instagram later on this week when we announce it, and make sure you're keeping up to date so you can check the episode out. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this recap. Raw was really good. I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.